we're already behind the 8 ball with the other towns and cities in our area. One of the reasons why we have no hospitality tax. Therefore, we can't do like Lexington and take $1 million advance against their upcoming hospitality tax. They're lending $1 million, the same scenario, to certain people in Lexington. Same thing with the city of Columbia. My feeling is, outside looking in, I get a lot of people asking, what is the town doing for me? This is something we need to do for our town businesses. We're leaning on them. We're taking money from them. It's time to come up with a way to help give back. Now, that's my thoughts on it. It would be very carefully done. Loans wouldn't be made hither, nither, and yon. Wouldn't be made to startups. Wouldn't be done to any of those things if any loans were at all made. But that's my thought on it. And as a banker, I think that's the way it should be set up. So whether you do it with Optus or for Citizens, whatever it is, they lend the money. We are the backstop. So that's my thoughts on it. It's just a way to help. Could we get burned? Absolutely, we could get burned.
Okay, Eric.
Yeah, thank you. Just as a side note, the reason why, Kelly, you were getting feedback is because it was coming from the output from Miss Condon's thing. So if she turns her volume down, you won't get that feedback loop. I agree with what a lot of Mr. Danielson had to say. I'm concerned about the amount of our reserves that we have, which we've built up specifically for the purpose of the town being able to stay solvent and keep running during challenging economic times. To eat into that too much, where the town would not be able to say we could run for 6 months without any receipts. The counter to that, of course, is that a chunk of our town revenues come from the very same businesses that we'd be assessing. So it's kind of, I don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face in the sense of saying, let's be really careful with this money so that we can stay afloat. Well, the main way that we stay afloat is by keeping our businesses up and going. I also really want to encourage ideas outside of that, setting aside, I don't want to change the topic, but outside of that idea of the Economic Development Council, outside of that, how else can we assist and help and turn things around quickly when we decide to open up? Otherwise, generally agree with the concepts that were presented by Honorable Danielson.
So Eric, let me get this straight in my mind. You're saying that you agree with the concept.
Yep.
You're concerned about putting town reserves up as a backstop?
I'm not concerned about doing it generally. I'm concerned about the amount as it pertains to the reserves the town has today. One of the frustrations that, I think probably we're all feeling is we are not a $20 million budget town. And as a result, we don't have the kind of additional reserves to say, here's $1 million. Would anything help? Probably. But I don't want to feel like we have to put up 200 grand or else it's not worth it. But yes, generally I'm in favor. My only concern is to make sure that the town, that the town's reserves stay in good shape.
And again, that's why I'm hoping to point some people on this board, like you and Bill and whoever, that are very versed in that financial aspect of banking and stuff like that, and understand that the challenges that we have as a town, we're still got to run a town after this is all over. Kelly, are you able to talk yet? – 'Kelly Bush. 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 'Kelly
Okay.
I think I can talk through Kathy's. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, but I can't see your face.
All right, how about, can you see my face now?
Here, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so I fully support an economic development corporation. As far as the funding goes, if we could explore other options to fund it as well, not just town money, but if there are, you know, like federal sources that, you know, grants, any kind of other funding, well-to-do investors that could also put some backstop money, people that, you know, maybe haven't experienced a downturn
Well, again, that's what I'm thinking, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, the Economic Development Corporation doesn't have to solely rely on the town as funding. They can go to XYZ company and say, hey, put some money into this corporation, right?
Absolutely. That was, thank you, Mayor. That was part two of what this is about. I don't know that the grants and federal funding will come quick enough to help us. It could, we could push, but I do think there are entities and corporations that do business in the town of Irmo that are not suffering, that could definitely put money into this. And it would be a true public-private partnership from that standpoint. I agree 100%. We need to bring other entities in, private corporations who want to help the town. My feeling theoretically is if we put in 200, 250, and that's just a number that was thrown out, you know, we could raise a matching 200 or 250. And I think we could do that. And maybe we proceed on that level. If whatever number we put in, we go out, we don't do anything until we match that. We put more pressure and we personally call on these entities to see what we can get from them. So if you started at 100, you go, okay, we're not going to do anything until we get a $100,000 match. We got to go in the private world of Irmo, and there's 8 or 10 that are in my mind right now that could certainly kick in. And then we match that. Then we take it to the next level. So we could definitely do this. Would it be outside of our normal town council fabric? Yes, it would, but it would be, I think it's be well worth it. I'm not sure about giving people 25 grand, but you know, I think, you know, a reasonable loan number to bridge them out of the PPL into business as the new norm. That's what I'm worried about now. I have a lot of PPL people that are within 8 weeks. Where are they going to be? This would be a great bridge to take them into the new norm. So, you know, I've had this conversation with a couple of people off the record, and I think we could be successful doing that. Just my thoughts. I've raised a lot of funds in the nonprofit business, so.
Okay. Who did I miss? That's it. That's what from the council standpoint, that's what we're thinking about. Carrie, do you have any thoughts on that? Just out of curiosity from the business community, would they buy into that?
Well, yes, I think businesses within the town of Irmo would appreciate their council offering some sort of safety net for them in this time. I mean, there's a lot of people that did apply for that first round of funding that did not get funding and are in the process of applying for the second round of funding. There's also people like the chamber who are not eligible for that funding. So I think that it is if nothing else, it is a goodwill gesture showing everybody who does business in your town that you guys are supporting them and that you're backing them. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. That's the Irmo Economic Development Corporation. I think that if anybody else has any comments from the council's perspective, if not, we can start by putting that on the agenda for the next meeting. to begin that process of forming the 501c3 or the IDC or redoing it or however it's going to be. Bob, do you have any idea on timeframes on that?
Let me get this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, if this is anything like the last one, it could take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to get it formed up and get approval from both the IRS and Secretary of State to be as a nonprofit.
Okay.
Bob, let me interrupt. Excuse me, Mayor. Bob, did you ever get an answer from the accountant?
I did. He is not in favor of this, but then again, he says there's nothing illegal about doing it. He would suggest that the council probably be better off if they were to give a letter of credit to the Economic Development Corporation as a backstop for money that they wanted to give to the businesses, as opposed to moving cash directly from the general fund over to the nonprofit.
Okay.
Could be done.
Again, we can work out the actual details of the 501c3, how we're going to structure it. I think we should start by at least voting on council to proceed forward to establish this, as well as to think about who's going to be on the board of directors of this. And we can do that at the next council meeting. So Bob, would you add that to the agenda, please?
I will. And we'll have a set of bylaws that council can approve, and that'll get the ball rolling.
Correct. All right. Any other comments from anybody else? Anybody else has any comments about this? Any of the business leaders? You hear what we're trying to do, so. No? Okay. Let's move on to the COVID portion of this meeting. And again, I'm trying to keep this meeting under an hour. I'm not trying to have a long-winded meeting. This part will be probably long-winded. So keep in mind that we have a bunch of good comments I'm going to hear from, especially from the business community. What I've asked y'all to do is to figure out, and I'm not just talking about the bars and restaurants, I'm talking about all of the businesses that have been impacted by this shutdown. But right now, I want to concentrate on the bars and restaurants. As you know, you guys have had the rug pulled from underneath you, and to the point where, you woke up one morning and you had to close your business and couldn't do business, and they told you, oh, you can sell stuff in to-go plates and all that kind of stuff, and that should suffice until we can get this under control. I've heard stories that it is under control. I've heard stories that they're on the cusp of having a vaccine or a treatment, but again, it's not in pen and ink. It's not a done deal. But this coronavirus is a very serious problem. People are dying from going out to have dinner, going out to get their haircut. And people like myself who have pre-existing conditions, I have to be extra careful when I go out in public. And that's why you'll see me at the bistro or at the town hall with a mask on, whether it's a N95 mask or it's a regular cloth mask. It's a mask because I feel like it's protecting myself and I'm protecting the other people that I come in contact with. Now, I hope that other people will do the same thing, but what can we do as a town to get our bars and restaurants back to the production mode where they're making money and they're getting ready to serve the customers and make the customers feel safe and happy about coming back out? Because again, you have some businesses that will have done well, I guess, through this whole Corona shutdown. They have made adjustments. And I believe that in the future, we're going to have to make more adjustments. We're going to have to change our standard operating procedure from trying to pack them in there to, we're going to have to separate, have social distancing between tables and stuff like that. The governor may even say, we'll let you reopen next week, but you can only open at 50% of your capacity. I don't know. All I know is that in Irmo, I want to come up with a way that we can get you guys back to serving people as quickly as possible and as safely as possible to make the customers feel safe. Now, to that end, what can we do, or what can we expect the bars and restaurants to do over and above what you normally do now? I mean, I'll start with you, Steve. What can we expect restaurants to do, and what do you want us to do?
Well, first off, if you can hear me,
Yeah.
there's we already do more than any other business in Irmo, South Carolina, or anywhere else in the state, as far as sanitation and disinfection and all those other things. I mean, we're DHEC certified. You can go to Rocco's place or Kim's place or whatever. They've been in here and inspected this. They haven't inspected the advanced auto parts store over there, or those places where you go in where there's, it's just nasty. So we're not worried about that. I don't understand why restaurants, in my opinion, were kind of disproportionately disadvantaged because we weren't doing anything wrong. And people, we were agreeing before they shut us down on the 17th of March, we had already agreed that we would separate tables, that we would keep people distant. I mean, not that they're already distant anyway, but that's another story. But we would do all those things so that we could remain open and at least maintain some of our business. The restaurants here in Irmo are, in my estimation, doing collectively about 25% of our normal business. We can't survive on that. And you're going to lose 75% of your revenue from us. And again, I really appreciate the Economic Development Corporation or whatever, Barry. But what we're simply doing is asking y'all to loan us back some of our allowance that we gave you to hold on to for us. That's our money. Okay, so that's neither here nor there. I'm not trying to be, anything other than just positive. But we have already voluntarily put in place practices that we can put in place tomorrow. We can put in place whenever we want to. We're offering certain things that will ensure that the people who come into our establishments, and I'm talking to the people that I've talked to, Rocco and Kim and Cheryl and Mike Busco, those guys, we're willing to do whatever it takes. But my gosh, please take the leash off of us. Please let open the gate, because while Walmart is making record sales, and so is Publix, we're sitting here we have to rely on our PPP money to pay our payroll. And please tell us what we can do, what you think we can do. That, again, we run our businesses, but we know that you control that. But tell us what we can do to make you happy and to make everyone happy, and letting us let customers back in.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Rocco, you got anything? Rocco.
I guess my main thing is we have different things we want to implement when we do open to try to help with the cleanliness standards and everything that Steve talked about. I know Steve and I talked about this, and Kim and I have talked about this. I know at Hemingway's, we're going to go to single-use menus, condiments, salt and pepper shakers, everything will be removed in between uses and sanitized. I think we're gonna keep at Hemingway's. We're gonna keep our abbreviated menu that we've used for the last 7 weeks, and we're also gonna promote carry-out specials that we've never done in the past. I mean, we've been doing them during the shutdown, but we've never really promoted carry-out food when we're open. We usually cater our specials to dine in, trying to get them to stay longer. But now it's going to be, hey, this is for, carry out only, get this special in order to try to keep the business coming without the customers being in there.
Okay. What about your safety of your employees? Are you going to test your employees?
Well, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take temperatures. But as far as testing goes, if there's no symptoms, well, I hadn't planned on it because they could catch it from somebody coming in an hour after we get them tested.
Okay, but you said you test them for as taking their
Well-
temperature basis, right?
Well, we'd make sure there's no symptoms and then take their temperatures before work. But I
Okay.
mean, as far as actually having a COVID test, I'd be willing to do it if it got us open. But at the same time, like I said, they could get tested at 11 a.m. We open the doors and they have it by 2 or 3.
What about use of gloves and masks? for
Oh,
your
absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, we use gloves now. We've used gloves in the kitchen for 3-4 years.
I'm talking about your servers
Yeah,
and masks for your servers.
if need be. Yeah,
Okay. I mean, you're willing to do all those things.
absolutely.
Not you, Steve, Rocco.
I'm just ready to get the ball rolling. Yeah,
Okay.
whatever I can do to get open, I'll do.
Okay. Kim,
Yes, sir.
do you have any thoughts about that?
No, like Rocco was saying, we've all talked. We all agree that we want to do whatever is needed for us to open. And we are willing to follow the rules and to put our customers and our employees in the best care. Steve said, we've been doing what we're supposed to do and being approved by DHEC for as long as we've been opened. So we will continue to do that. I've spoken with Amanda from DHEC about some different things, and we do our virtual walkthrough tomorrow. And so whatever they bring to the table, we're also willing to do. I think we as a community that we've talked in the last week or two, I mean, we're willing to do what needs to be done to get us open.
Okay. What about, same question for you. What about the safety of your employees as far as testing them, taking the temperatures?
We already have the thermometer on the way, and we have typed up a list that I had gotten from when Georgia reopened about the symptoms and all that they would have to agree that they didn't have any of that before they came to shift. And the testing, I'm with Rocco. I'm not sure if it means we opened, I'd be more than willing to do that. I need more information on if it'll change from the, do we test them every week? Do we test them every day? I mean, at some point I have to know what the testing is going to be and how long we're supposed to test them, because we don't know.
Okay,
And
when I say testing, I'm not talking about taking the COVID test where they shove a Q-tip up your nose. I'm saying take the temperature. Taking the temperature for the
Absolutely.
test. That's something
Absolutely.
you do every shift, every day when they come
Absolutely.
in. And that's just documenting it, and that shouldn't be a big deal. Now,
No,
as far
not
as taking official COVID tests where they shove a Q-tip up your nose and send it off to a lab, I mean, yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine. You can do that if you want to. But the CDC and the DHEC is saying that they're not recommending you test everybody who walks in your place. You don't test people that don't have the symptoms. I had a conversation with Dr. Bell, the head of DHEC, and she said that's not what that the state is not advocating testing everyone in the state of South Carolina. She's only saying test the people that show symptoms, or if you think you've been exposed, to test them. But as far as taking their temperature to see if they got active infection going on, that's something you can do every
Absolutely.
shift, every day, and document it. That
So
protects.
we're willing to do whatever it takes for all of us to get open.
Okay. And Kellen, Crafts and Drafts, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me, babe?
Yeah. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's, we've kind of been weighing the options about what's available for us to do and that kind of thing. We've had the benefit of having a little bit of a to-go business by having package sales as a store, as well as having the restaurant side of things. I think points that you're bringing up for us are big things that we've been discussing already. Is how do we ensure, the safety of our employees is more important to us than the safety of our customers in a way, because our employees are going to touch every customer that comes through the door in some way, shape, or form. So we've been discussing how do we keep them safe in the long run, obviously temperature testing and things like that we know we can do. I think it's already been mentioned, single-use serving things and things of that nature, which we're, somewhat built having to-go stuff already, but, basically will become the norm versus what we would normally do for in-house dining. I think it's a little bit of trying to figure out where the risk and the reward weigh against each other. We've discussed at capacity size and things like that, depending on what your capacity is, as to whether or not it's worth the risk to open the door and change things to open yourself up to a lot more exposure versus what you're doing currently. So I think there's a lot of ways to increase the safety of what we have done, and like these guys have all said, restaurants are one of the few things out there that gets constant oversight and gets checked and things of that nature. And, when the DHEC first released what you should be doing in response to coronavirus, it was basically all the things that a restaurant is required to do on a daily basis anyway. Now, that will expand obviously in what we need to do, but I think it's, there are things that we will do and things that we will implement, but we will take into account where our risk and reward is depending on what we are and aren't allowed to do.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Barry, hi, this is Rhonda.
Rhonda, yeah, hey.
Wanted to just chime in from an HR employee perspective on the testing and the temperature check-in and the sanitation things. Just some recommendations that other businesses are doing that I've been seeing in my consulting work and at the bank. Taking the temperature is a good thing. You really can't safely require people to test, and you don't want to get into doing it pretty much for the same reasons you wouldn't want to do pre-employment drug tests, your analysis in your place.
Wait a minute, you're saying we can't expect people to take temperatures?
No. I said the COVID test. I think you're right on with not taking the COVID test.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We can't expect
right, okay.
taking the temperatures. That's a very, very good and safe practice. You can also draft a simple policy to require employees to report symptoms, because some people will just want to come to work and, not tell you. But just to safeguard yourselves from liability, you will want to have them sign off on something that says they're required to tell you before they report to a shift if they develop any symptoms or if they've been exposed to other people with symptoms. So that's something you'll want to know too, because as you know, with the virus, people can be asymptomatic, not show it, not feel it. But if they were exposed to someone else, they visited them, or someone else in the house has the virus, you want to know that too. You want to know what they're exposed to. So I do suggest adding that onto whatever you have them disclose when they come into the business, when they come to work.
Mm.
And just one other quick question. I'm excited that you guys, the restaurants are doing all of these things, but I'm wondering if there's a way to promote that, just maybe through the chamber or through the council or something, so that me as an average person, I wouldn't know which restaurants are taking those extra steps or what steps most restaurants are taking. So maybe just some type of a commercial that everybody could take advantage of. Your Irmo businesses are taking these steps once they get open, so people know and are comfortable coming into the establishments. Because like I said, if I wasn't sitting there on this call, just as an average person, I would still kind of be wondering, what are they doing? But there's some great stuff that they're doing that I think the general public needs to know about, either through some advertisement or some promotion that maybe we can somehow figure out how to subsidize, because I know their monies are tight.
Well, just like you got the A on your door for your DHEC inspection, I was hoping that we could get the restaurants and the bars to come to some kind of agreement that they would post that we are that we are testing our employees on a daily basis, that you got your servers walking around with gloves and masks on, they can see. I mean, those are the type of things that I think that we'll have to get them to do to make the customer feel comfortable about coming back out. I mean,
Can I ask a question, Barry?
it's a just a second. It's a two-way street. The one side of the street is you guys, bars and restaurants, have to do your part to make sure that your employees are safe and virus-free as much as possible. And then the second part of that is we have to make the customers, the citizens, feel safe about coming out to your businesses and to frequenting your bars and restaurants, and making sure that they feel safe about coming. They can visually see that. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm just curious, because this is something that from the beginning of this whole social experiment that we find ourselves in, whether it was intentional or not, is that when I go to Publix, they don't post that they have tested their employees. When I go to Lowe's, they don't post that they have tested. What's different with food service as opposed to those businesses? And in your mind, and I'm asking an opinion, what is different in those businesses where I can be one of 180 people inside of a Lowe's, and nobody's wearing masks. This was a week or so ago. I know that things are changing, but nobody's wearing a mask in Lowe's. And I was number 180 because I asked the lady when I walked through the door, what number am I? And but I didn't ask the single person if they had been tested for COVID before I walked into that building. What's the difference between restaurants?
Well, look, I'm not an advocate for the big box stores. We have a Walmart in the town limits, but Lowe's, they have their own policies and procedures. I believe now they're saying that they want you to wear masks when you go in there. I know a couple of grocery stores are promoting that now. Same Club, I think Walmart's promoting it. When you walk there, they want you to wear masks. You don't have to, but they're asking you to do it. But again, the difference between, in my mind, my opinion, my humble opinion, the difference between those big box department stores and supply stores in a restaurant is that you're sitting there frequently putting stuff in your body and you're staying in your business longer.
Yeah.
Than you normally would in there. You're going in to specifically get a can of paint. I'm sitting in a restaurant to have a steak.
Completely understand, and I will tell you this, Barry, before I get labeled as the troublemaker on this meeting. Okay, I do appreciate
too
everything.
late for that, sir.
Yeah, I do appreciate everything that you guys are doing for us. I really and truly do. We love doing business in the town of Irmo because we're so close and we're so tight knit, and I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to step away from talking right now and let you guys finish up.
Well, Steve, thank you for your comments. But listen, what we're trying to do is gather information. I think what I'm going to recommend to the council in a few minutes is some steps we're going to go forward with. But again, is there anybody else? Joey, you have any comments? Is there anybody else that I missed?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I'll come back.
Carrie. Carrie, you go ahead first.
Okay, Carrie, go ahead. Take your mute off.
Well, so Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of items I'd like to add to this, but then I also wanted to tell you about a couple of people I asked to be on this call, one of whom is Rhonda. My question, I totally agree with you, Steve. For several weeks now, I've been like pounding everything, trying to get people to open this back up. But the requirements that restaurants are having to meet, if you look at a salon, massage therapy places, salons, restaurants, all of them are required to meet these almost hospital grade standards in keeping their facilities clean, their employees healthy at all times. So I do agree that the restaurant community is going to take a huge financial hit from having to, Steve, I bet you've never had to buy boxes and boxes of masks for your employees, because I'm sure you're not going to require your employees to buy their own masks. So you're going to have to buy them for them. Also the gloves, you know, yeah, your kitchen staff probably wore gloves all the time, but did your servers? No. So added expense. The temperature testing, I have a question about that, because say the Department of Corrections says that you know, taking someone's temperature, if you're not a healthcare professional, is considered, I mean, it's considered a medical exam. So you can't take somebody's temperature. All you can do is get them to fill out a form that says they don't have symptoms that day when they come onto the property. So I worry about these restaurants who have been just annihilated in this whole thing. The little small hair salons, all of this. I mean, the people that walk around Publix with masks and gloves on, do they go home and then wash every single can of beans that they just bought? And are they, you know that they're not going home and washing their groceries and disinfecting their groceries. So I think that we're holding the restaurant community and the close contact services community to a standard that the rest of our business community does not have to adhere to. And these are our most vulnerable members of the business community. I mean, we all know that restaurants operate on such a small margin, as do hair salons, who usually have only like 1 or 2 employees. From my chair at the chamber, the conversations that I have had since like week number 2 have been so devastating that, I always applaud people who go out on a limb and put everything that they have into their businesses, because when you own a business, you're married to a business. And Mr. Mayor, you know this firsthand. You are married to that business. It is your blood, sweat, and tears. And when you are forced to shut that down, there's, they said 110,000 restaurants in this country will not come back from this. And so I just feel, I want to know, if everybody's going to share the burden, because like Steve, you're going to have to pass that along, and you're going to have to raise the price of your food and your drinks to your customers, because how are you supposed to cover the cost of, all of these things? And then what happens if, you do have staff that come in with a temperature, and it just goes on and on and on. So these are my concerns.
Again, Carrie, we're just I don't think we're trying to stifle or make these restaurants and bars.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there, that this is an element of this whole thing that
Right.
the entire community as a whole needs to take into consideration, because this is a burden that people have never had to carry on their shoulders before. So we all need to consider that.
But I can tell you that we in Irmo can try to lessen that burden. That's why we're having this workshop today, is to try to figure out what we can do locally that they can't do statewide or not willing to do in Columbia or West Columbia. What we can do locally to get our businesses back up and running. That's why we're having this. And I think, and I'm willing to go on. Okay.
I did want to just introduce, Rhonda, you know her through the chamber, but I asked her to jump on this call just because I thought she could give some insight into the sort of human resources, workplace liability side of opening back up our businesses. But I also asked Joey Von Nessen to jump on with us, because he's an economist. He works over at USC at the Darla Moore School, and he's also a business owner in the Irmo footprint. I think you're in the city of Columbia, Joey. But so I wanted to, if it pleases the council, if you would allow Joey and Rhonda maybe to weigh in on this a little bit.
Well, I've already heard from Rhonda. Joey, did you have something?
Yes, and thank you, Carrie and Mr. Mayor, for inviting me and including me. I think first, just to follow up on some of the comments in terms of what we've been going through for the last few minutes. I think if we look back at the possibility of a trial run and possibly thinking about things that we can do locally, perhaps advocating more specifically for a trial run. And what I mean by that is what it looks like the governor has been doing is to slowly reopen or is making plans to slowly reopen the economy in a way that, number one, allows for a trial run to see if we can maintain the social distancing and maintain safety and reopen the economy at the same time. And number two, establish a successful track record for businesses showing the public and helping to restore that confidence. And that really gets back to a point Rhonda was making about promoting the fact that, yes, we are seeing businesses that are open and we have been able to flatten the curve. We've been looking very extensively at the data, at the health data on the number of new cases, which is fundamentally shaping this entire discussion in terms of how quickly we proceed with reopening the economy. And if you look on a state-by-state basis, the US in aggregate has done a very good job of flattening the curve, and most states have as well, including South Carolina. Now, that's not true for every state, of course, but for South Carolina, it has been. And we've begun to see that track record. We've seen before, Walmart and Publix and others have been open for a period of time where we've seen the curve remain flat in South Carolina. And so maybe there's a way to think through how we might either quantify this or specifically talk about a trial run or advocate for that in a way that says, look, we can move in this direction. We need to restore consumer confidence. And is there a way that we can do that more systematically and then promote that to also help business demand? Again, I don't know what the demand looks like for everyone's business here, of course, but I think that Rhonda is very much correct that consumer confidence has taken a dive, and so we need to be proactive in helping to restore that.
Well, one of the things that I want to point out is that the governor is talking about reopening restaurants at 50% of capacity or some number. If you have 100 seats, you can only use 50 seats. That's already going to burden y'all if it hasn't, with that social distancing, 6 feet between the tables and everything. You guys have already got a challenge there to figure out how am I going to get those people in the restaurant at less.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, well, I hear you, but again, I'm trying to. What I'm going to propose, and we're going to talk about this. The council's going to talk about this at the end of this conversation in a few minutes. What we can propose that y'all can do, and did I miss anybody? I mean, I think I heard from everybody here. Did I not call on somebody?
Oh, if I could speak just quickly again there, if it's not too much trouble.
Who's that?
This is Rhonda.
Oh, Rhonda. Okay,
Again, yeah. So I wanted to respond to I forget his name, who asked, what's the difference between restaurants and the big box stores? And it's really simply perception. Those places never, ever were shut down by the government. So the perception is that the government deemed them as quote unquote safe places for folks to traffic. Now we're working against the perception that restaurants and the other places that they forced to close down are unsafe. So that's really what I was talking about in terms of, regaining trust and promoting, maybe the Irmo, this is what we're doing in Irmo to gain your trust, simply because the government basically created the perception that the businesses that they shut down, hair salons, restaurants, et cetera, you guys know the list, were unsafe. So people have to, we have to retrain the way people see these local businesses. And last but not least, when you guys start to take the temperatures and all that kind of stuff, just be careful with who you assign to do that, how you document that sort of thing. There are a lot of folks out there, legal friends of mine, who are just waiting for an employee to raise their hand and feel like they were discriminated against. So just be very careful about how you set up your policies, what they sign off on, and be very, very consistent. I would even dare say, if you guys have maybe a you know, an association of restaurants in Irmo, that you get together for best practices so that you're consistent among yourselves, just for safety's sake in your policies with your employees.
Okay, so now we got to worry about lawyers getting involved in this, right?
It always comes down to that.
Thank you, Rhonda. All right. Okay, so I've heard anybody else? Did I miss anybody else?
No, I've already spoken, but
Are you unmuted?
no, I'm on talk.
Go ahead.
So Barry, I wanted to chime in. One thing we haven't
Wait,
mentioned.
who's that? Who's that speaking? I'm
Kelly.
sorry.
Kelly.
Kelly, I'm leaning.
Okay, go ahead, Kelly. I'm sorry.
Is that if there's any ordinances that the business community, as far as the small businesses go, that we could relax temporarily, so we can relax ordinances if you can think of any that would prevent you from being able to serve the customers or the public. I don't know if putting tables outside or just, you know, trying to, for the social distancing purposes, be able to spread your restaurant out a little bit.
Well, that's what, Kelly, that's exactly what I was going to propose at the end, and we're at the end. So
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
I was hoping that the council can say to the Irmo businesses, Irmo bar and restaurants, that we're going to allow you guys to serve people outside on your terraces, on your sidewalk, under, you know, not in your facilities, because the governor's still formulating that policy, how many people he's going to allow inside your restaurant. But on the outside, like, I'm going to use Steve as an example. He has a terrace. He can separate those tables 6 feet apart, or whatever the CDC guidelines are. He can certainly bring out food to those tables out there. And he can do it in a fashion that makes people comfortable, safe, feel safe about coming there, as well as, you know, not replacing his inside restaurant, but at least augmenting what he's doing right now as far as takeout. Rocco the same way. Kim the same thing. You guys got a terrace out there. You can serve people out there on that terrace and bring food out to them. Rocco, you got a veranda, and you can serve people out there. All you small restaurants and bars have places in front of your businesses to do it. Now, if we have a law that prevents that in Irmo, yeah, we would need to relax that. Bob, do you know of any off the top of your head that would stop people from serving on the sidewalk? I thought we had one for sidewalk sales or something, but do you know anything off the top of your head?
No, Bear, we don't have any laws that prohibit them, you know, setting up outside on their own property. The only thing we'd have to relax would be their parking requirements. You know, don't set up in a handicap spot, that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, let's put that on the agenda also, Bob. We're going to try to figure out if we can put a resolution or something to that effect, that we're going to allow the Irmo businesses to serve outside using CDC guidelines, social distancing. That will at least get y'all, let me see, Monday is the 4th, Tuesday is the 5th. We're having a council meeting on the 5th. So by Mother's Day, you'll have ability to serve dinner for me and my wife and my mother to come at your bars and restaurants on Sunday if you're open. Of course, you'll separate us by 6 feet apart, and I'll be wearing a mask until I start eating or drinking. So don't be offended, but you can promote that. And I'm sure your cooks and your servers will be properly tested and COVID virus free, so I can feel comfortable about coming back out. But put that on the agenda as an action item to put a resolution for that, okay? On Tuesday.
Hey,
And
Barry.
yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to bring up, if it's okay,
Who's that?
this Kathy.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
I looked on DHEC's website, which I don't do a lot of, but I did today, just to get an idea of how many people are sick in this area or what the numbers are. I was pleasantly surprised that in the whole distance of the virus, there are only 144 reported cases in the 3 zip codes, 29210, 29212, 29063. Now there's an estimate of cases that are not reported, a total of about 800. But still, those numbers are low compared to that metropolitan area would have to be 40,000 or so. I mean, that's really pretty low. And as long as we keep them low, I think we can advertise that. You know, 144 cases in 2 months from all 3 zip codes. I think that's pretty good.
I think you're right, but I don't want to be the 141st person.
No, I don't. 144. You'd be
145.
I want to be the 145th person.
Hey, Barry.
Yeah, go ahead,
Bill
Bill.
need to know
I chime in.
Go ahead, Bill.
I just want the restaurateurs to know that the whole reason for this is to help you. I mean, we're here to help you all get open. We have already, I say we, a few of us on the council have already tried to go over the governor's head to the point where we got a legal opinion, which said we can't go over the governor's head. We can try it, we're gonna lose. Now, by the time we get done fighting that, hopefully everybody's opening at 100% capacity. I would like nothing personally than to open those doors and let you all manage your business like you know responsibly you can. So that's why we're here. We're very limited in what we can do, which is frustrating. Very frustrating because you look at the national politics and you look at the national society we live in, and it's about states' rights. Well, it comes down to the state, from the federal to the state, and the state has control of these things, but it's not coming down to the town. That's the most frustrating part. It's not really the boots on the ground. So it is a little frustrating. We are trying to come up with ideas that can help you. And the bottom line is it's all about perception. You have been unfairly targeted. Salons have been unfairly targeted. I am not a young kid anymore, but I'm out there and I'm going out there, and you know, life is a crapshoot. You know, I mean, it just is. So if you want to stay home, people are going to stay home. I get it. I absolutely get it. But there are people who want to come to your restaurants. Look at my hair. I can't stand it. I got to get a haircut. There are people that have to do this stuff. And it's, you know, I think it's good that there are some other states stepping out right now because they're looking at them and they want some of the media want nothing but to bash on them as soon as they have an opportunity. Hopefully they won't have those opportunities, but we're trying to help. I am frustrated. I'm the new guy on the block. I've been here 2 months, and as soon as I got sworn into this thing, I get banned from the building. I mean, it's just, and banned from seeing people face to face. It's extremely frustrating. So we are trying, and I love these people on this council. I think we got a great council. We're working together, and we want to help you guys and gals figure this out. And if we can get you a step above, Barry talked to the governor today, Barry, or yesterday?
It was yesterday I talked to him.
Okay, and we were already sneaking ahead of where they might come out next Monday or Tuesday, whenever he decides to come out. So he said to Barry, go ahead and put them on the sidewalks. We're not going to fight you on that if you want to start doing that. So we can sneak ahead, but we want to let them know we're doing that. So that's the goal. And I didn't mean to take it over, but as you can tell, I'm passionate about. And we all are.
And our whole council is like that. I mean, you heard us.
Exactly right.
And I'm proud of them. I'm glad to be working with them. But the bottom line is we're going to do stuff to make you guys, bring you as close to back to normal or get you marching in that direction as quickly as possible. So if we can start by just putting tables outside 6 feet apart using your CDC guidelines, let's do that. Let's do that and see how it works out. And again, if we can do that as a collective Irmo, because again, we can control Irmo. We can't control what happens in Chapin or West Columbia or Columbia, and they're right up against us. We can't even control what happens in the county, but we can control what happens in our town. And as long as we work together as a town, I think we can't fail. We'll be the we'll be able to overcome this and get productive quickly.
So Barry,
Yeah, go ahead.
you're saying that you don't mind if Friday and Saturday I have people on the patio here at the beach front. Are
Well,
you the enforcing entity as far as the governor's order goes? Is what I'm asking.
let's put it this way. I'm pretty sure the police are not going to come out there and ticket you.
Perfect. That's all I need to
I don't
know.
know. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I have the authority to give that go ahead.
It's okay as long as I know that you know, me and Rocco and Kim and Cheryl and all, they can't put us all in jail, can they? I mean, that's all I'm asking. If we do this and start getting our customers and Irmo's taxpayers back to doing the things that they want to do, then that's what we want to do, Barry, just like you do. So,
well, like you heard me, I told Bob we're going to put a resolution on the agenda on Tuesday.
absolutely. Ready to do it.
In anticipation of that. Bob, do you have any comments about that, or Kelly, or anybody? Any of the council?
Yeah, hey, Barry, if I could just say one thing. Yeah, if they want to start opening up this weekend, I mean, the police officers aren't going to go out and say anything, not the Irmo police officers. I'll make sure of that. However, we need to get the word out to all the other restaurants so that they don't think we're showing favoritism. If somebody were to open up this Friday and Saturday on the sidewalk.
I mean, this is on YouTube. How many millions of people are watching this? I thought we were on nationwide TV right now. I mean.
Okay, I have one more question, Barry, and I guess I need to ask Bob. Okay, we know that our police force is not gonna do anything to, you know, if they want to serve on the sidewalk, it's fine. But what about a trooper?
They're not going to come into the town. They've got other things.
Okay, we just want to let them get in.
Yeah, we'll use our
It's
police
fine
to
with
keep the
me.
troopers out.
I'm just
Serve them a
wondering.
meal.
They're gonna stop and eat.
Okay, we'll stop them at the town limit. I just worry about somebody else bothering us. Yeah, we can say we're not going to do anything, but
Well, you know what? You know what? I'm willing to go on the carpet for this because it's the right thing to do.
It is the right thing to do.
And I'm willing to I'll stand in front of the restaurant and say, hey, I'm frequenting this restaurant because this is what we need to do in our town.
So if a trooper comes by, y'all tell him to go pick up Barry.
Yeah, there you go. I'll be the one with the mask on, okay?
One thing, Barry?
Yeah.
I am personally, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, we're not going to tell everybody about this. We don't want the people in Columbia and the people in everywhere. We're not going to put this all over Facebook, in my opinion. Okay. But we're going to call our regular customers that come in here all the time, and we're going to fill up the patio as much as we can. We only got a certain amount of space anyway. So we'll have enough business with the people that we contact. This is not going to be, in my opinion, public knowledge. This is going to be something that we're going to do. We're going to enjoy doing. We're going to feel like we're half-ass normal for just a little while. And if that's okay, and the state trooper, I've never seen a state trooper in my restaurant, so I'm okay with that.
Well, and Bob is right. We have to tell Sammy, Matthias to do this. We have to let East Bay Deli know they can do this. We don't let everybody know they can do this. Okay.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
How do we do that? Carrie, how do we do that? And I'm putting it on you because you're the chamber, so.
You're muted.
Take your mute off. Take your mute off.
Oh my God, you would think like I haven't done 600.
Yeah, really.
calls
He's brain dead.
last week alone. Oh my God. So I can certainly get the word out in an email to all my chamber partners. But like there's several people on this call that only Craft and Draft is one of my partners. So, you know, I can put it out to partners, but if you guys don't want it going out on Facebook, then I mean, I'd be happy to put it on Facebook if that's what you guys want. We've got about, 12,000 people, but.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be on our agenda next, what, Friday, right, Bob?
Well, if you guys want to, and you want to push this, Mr. Mayor, you probably could have an emergency meeting tomorrow just for this one resolution.
Ah,
I'm sorry, just to clarify, because I think I've gotten a little turned around here. So as it stands right now, restaurants, as according to McMaster's orders, restaurants can't open for anything but dine out, correct? Particularly.
you can do takeout, right?
They can do takeout, right? Are we just for 100% clarity? Because to me, I'm confused as a human being. Separate myself from just being a councilman. I'm confused about this broadcasting it versus not broadcasting it, and telling people versus not telling people, and when the governor has said it's going to be okay versus us countervening what the governor said, I'm starting to get a little turned around here.
Well, let me unturn you, Eric. The governor's task force, the what is it called, Carrie? SC, Access SC?
Accelerate SC.
Accelerate SC. They met today and they discussed bringing restaurants back slowly by allowing them to serve outside in their verandas and their sidewalks or whatever, and implementing that in an executive order on Monday.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm saying is that we as a council are coming out ahead of that, because I've already spoken to the governor and told him what I was going to propose today, and I just proposed it. And we're going to move forward with that and put it on our agenda on Tuesday. But Bob is saying that I probably need to have a special meeting just for this resolution to give them the go ahead to start in Irmo this weekend. Is that right, Bob? Okay, so I mean, council.
And by me saying that we're not going to broadcast this everywhere, that has nothing to do with other than the fact of kind of keeping this in Irmo. You know, what happens in Irmo stays in Irmo.
Okay. All right. I just want to, and also just for the sake of YouTube and clarity, I don't want anyone to think that this is a backroom deal, because
not at all.
This is,
but you know,
I've had people message me in the past
that was not my intent.
Okay.
Let's make it back room. That's a good idea.
That's why I'm asking these questions, because I get questions. Well, what does they mean when they said that, right?
All right, Councilman Bush, knock it off the box. Tell me where I'm doing wrong.
Everything, but that's okay.
Okay, when's the soonest that we could have another meeting, which we know you love to do, Barry? We have to notify somebody, don't we?
We're still under emergency declaration. We can have it whenever we want to have it.
Okay, so we can do it tomorrow, Bob?
That's correct. I mean, their notification would have to go out to the press, but there's not a 24-hour window for an emergency meeting, and that's what this would be for. You're trying to save your businesses. So we could classify this as an emergency if you really plan on letting them open up this weekend for outside and all the other restrictions.
Okay.
It'd be best if we did that before they actually opened up, just to cross all our T's and dot the I's.
All right, so we're not taking any votes here.
You can pick a time tomorrow. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I'll call you about that.
Okay.
Thank y'all. Is there any other comments? Kelly, you've been quiet. Is that all right? I don't feel good if you're not commenting, Kelly. It just makes me nervous. I might be forgetting something. Plus,
just be prepared. This is going to stand out. This is not going to be a secret. And so.
Well, I'm prepared, because I think it's high time that we start bringing our restaurants back.
The other question I had is, I mean, you're in communication with other mayors. Have the mayors of South Carolina gotten together and lobbied the governor to try to get our economy back on track?
Oh, absolutely. They had, like, Accelerate SC had the meeting today, and they had the chairman of the Restaurant and Hospitality Association saying exactly what I just said. They want to open up the restaurants slowly by letting them do outdoor outdoor seating until they can get a final number. Is it going to be 50% of the capacity or 20% of capacity? What is that magic number that they're still working on? Until they get that number, they want to at least be able to serve outside, of course, using social distancing, 6 feet apart and all that good stuff. You know, and I think we can do that now instead of waiting until, you know, Monday or Tuesday when they formally announce it. And then they said down the road, maybe the 18th of May, then they'll announce you can go in the restaurants now at 50% of capacity or whatever that number is going to be. You know, but that's down the road. That's what, a good month away. Okay. Let's do something now to help our restaurants survive. And I don't think anybody will come after us except for someone. Well, never mind.
The haters.
Someone will, that's all right.
That's okay. Got big shoulders.
Any other comments? This has been a really good meeting. It's about an hour and a half over. I didn't want to keep y'all all night, but I appreciate this workshop. We got some action plans. Bob, I'll call you when we get off of this to figure out a time. If council's okay, any more comments from council? Any more comments from our business community?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
thank you. On behalf of the chamber, thank you, and to council for having this discussion. I think it's real important, and I'm really glad you guys are taking the lead on doing that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you.
And I appreciate y'all for participating. I mean, I really mean it. Rocco, Kim, Rhonda, I mean, Joey, even all of you experts out there, you know, we value your input and your feedback. And as you can see, we have a council that likes to build relationships and listen to what our customers are saying. Our customers are you, the citizens, are you, the business community. And because we have that relationship built up, I know that we're going to overcome this and be as strong as we were before the coronavirus hit. I just got to wear my mask when I go out, and I will be doing that. So, thank you all very much. And that's it. I'll be signing off. Thank you.
Motion we adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.